Hi, I'm Dave, owner of Futurepastcomics Collectibles. This is my daughter Rachel.
Hello!
And here we are.
I don't know if you guys have been watching the new show, The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
But my dad and I love it. It's one of our favorite shows.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to talk about it a little bit because there is some comic spec around the show.
There is.
And if you're not familiar with it, I actually have the video game. It was originally a video game on the PS3. Right. It's very true to the story of the show.
Every episode that's come out so far, I watch everything always. It's a YouTube channel. Every time I watch an episode, I watch everything always and they recap the episode.
Oh, I watched something like that, but it's not that.
Yeah.
About that show.
And what they do is they compare the episode to the video game.
Oh, yeah.
And they show the differences. Because I didn't play the video game, I like to see the differences.
What's the last video game you played?
Probably Tiger Wood Golf.
On the PS2. So
yeah.
That's a long time ago. My dad likes this show so much that he asked me to bring my PS3 over so that he could try to play this game. I feel like that's commitment.
I lasted an hour. I lasted 1 hour.
It's a lot different than PS2 time, so that's fair.
You know, really, the only reason I wanted to check it out, I wanted to check out the graphics, and I like the storytelling so much. But when I realized I had to commit to learning all of the controls,
it's a hard game too, honestly. I mean, hard for me. I'm not a great gamer.
So the comic book that's associated with this, and if you can throw up the first issue, is a mini-series that came out in 2015 as well. I looked up this book and wasn't really that familiar with it. Started to look for issues of it and found some raw issues, and prices weren't that extremely high, and I did find some raw issues and started to contemplate buying one for myself. Backed away. I didn't feel completely right about it. It would have been to keep it forever.
Right.
You know,
not to be sold again.
Yeah. You guys know that I'm, if you watch this channel at all, I'm a horror fan. I like zombies. I watched Night of the Living Dead when I was a small kid, and I don't know how, on a black and white TV when I was a kid. And
sounds so scary.
I actually watched Dawn of the Dead when I was a teenager in a drive-in. I've been a zombie movie fan my whole life. This is the kind of horror that I like. I really do like it when the whole household likes it and comic books are connected to it. I really like that. And a lot of these IPs are coming from comic books or connected to comic books.
So many.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where it comes from now.
I still would like to have this comic book. I don't know if I'm going to chase after this or not. If I ever pick up a collection with this, I will get giddy. It's so funny how excited I get about these types of comics.
Which, it's been out since 2015, so it's just funny, but, things like this spark interest and stuff like that. That's why people spec.
Yeah.
Because they're like, ooh.
What's also funny is how much I gave up on that game and how hard.
And I knew it was going to be too much. It's a lot of... He's never played with one of those controllers, really, before. PGA Golf is a lot different than this. Gotta watch out for the cordyceps, or whatever they're called. Anyway, if you haven't played it, you should. It's fun.
Great game.
Not sponsored.
Great game for somebody.
I liked it.
Not me.
All right, let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
I wanted to announce before we get into all the comic books we're going to talk about that we're going to be at Emerald City Comic Con March 2nd to the 5th. We're very excited. Seattle. If you have tickets, we hope to see you at our booth.
Come to the Great Northwest.
Come on over.
Buy comic books.
Bring your raincoat.
4 days. 4 days of comic book fun.
Yes. All right, let's talk about some comic books.
Yes. So I want to talk a little bit about comic book speculation. There's a lot of news on the DC front. Lots of different movies. There's still a lot of stuff happening with Marvel. All the excitement that's happening, there should be a little bit of fear. I want to tell you why.
Your pocket.
There's a lot of people still coming into the hobby, coming back to the hobby. A lot like I did in 2020. I came back into the hobby after being away for 20 years. As I got back into collecting, I went back to what I used to collect, and things have changed so much in 20 years. It took me a while to get my feet. I found a local comic book store and started buying some new comic books, connected with the new comic market. Long story short, the MCU happened, and that's really what connected me to current comic books. I'm going to pick up at WandaVision. That's where I'm going to pick up. I wasn't a huge Avengers fan. I read a lot of DC. But man, did I love WandaVision. I dug it. Started watching WandaVision and YouTube at the same time, which was weird. There was all these channels and they were talking about top 10 hot comic books, and it was like a brand new world to me. I was investing pretty heavily as I came back in. I really decided to kind of throw down and really invest in comic books. I had about 3,500 comic books when I came back in that I had saved for, I had some of them for up to 30 years. I just started buying a lot of comic books first as a collector, and I made a decision after about a year to become a comic book dealer. Man, have I learned a lot. MCU comes out, YouTube, all this stuff's going on at once. So I started to speculate.
Pulled aside some books that you've purchased over the last 3 years since you started collecting again back in 2020.
Yep.
And we kind of want to talk to you guys about where they're at now after purchasing them and how much you paid for them. And some of it's not great, some of it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it will be fun to talk about as far as good and bad goes.
Yeah. Humble pie time. I made decisions for a lot of different reasons along the way. I made some good decisions, and I made some decisions that I, let's just talk about the books.
Yes.
Let's talk about...
They'll say what we want to say by themselves.
They speak for themselves. Let's start with Amazing Spider-Man 361.
Yes.
I will tell you that I don't even know how many copies of this I've owned. This is a 9.6 direct. I bought this after the fact. I've probably owned 5 or 6 copies. I've doubled my money on a couple of these. I'm ahead on this book.
Let's talk about data.
Yeah, please.
So first off, why is it a spec book? A lot of people may not know.
Yeah, so there was a lot of speculation around the movie about Carnage. The Carnage movie came out last year.
I never saw it, so I don't know.
Oh, really?
Isn't that kind of a part of it too?
First of all, I thought the movie was not good. As a matter of fact, I don't even think the Venom movies were that good. I thought they were kind of goofy.
I never watched them.
I'm not trying to hate on it. I watched them. They really did bring the title up a lot. The character's always been very popular, and Venom's series has done okay in terms of the comic. That particular issue blew up, and the number, if you can go through...
Yeah, well, for this copy, you paid $361.
It was much higher, and it had already gone down for this particular copy. So if you can tell me the high of that book, I think I bought that in 2021. What was it in 2020?
So in 2020, the highest selling copy was $480. And you can kind of see in the graph how it spiked up quite a bit.
What was its highest?
The highest it ever got was $800.
In a 9.6.
In a 9.6.
And I paid
$361.
Yeah.
In 2021.
So imagine it was at that high, and I paid, $361.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching it go down, and I had the assumption at that point that I thought it was hitting a bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even close.
Not even close to the bottom.
Yeah.
Because as you can see in the graph, the bottom, the bottom is $10.
And I don't believe, by the way, Rachel, I don't believe that was the bottom.
No, well, that's in 2006. The bottom of the now times is right now, which is $176 is the average.
I don't believe that's the bottom.
You think it's still going down? I mean, it's trajecting down.
I could predict that we'll go under 100.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many on the census.
There's 8,600 universal copies.
Yeah. With that many copies on the census, it has room to go down because it doesn't have any news. And with almost 30,000 copies total, it's fine. By the way, I'm not like freaking out about it. I have a lot of comic books, and I invested a lot of comic, and I'm still ahead on this series altogether. It was a lesson for me.
Yeah.
What was the lesson here? As something's going down, to try to hop in like that, yeah.
I mean, in this case, bad idea. Sometimes that might be a good idea.
When do you hop in?
Yeah.
And I have more coming up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that hopping in, maybe I should have done it on a raw book instead of a graded one. You don't know what the bottom is when something's going down on a trajectory like this.
Yeah.
I think I bought a 9.8 in the $700 range and sold it for like $1,600 or $1,700 in an auction. So I really did well on one of those.
Because you were in there right when it was at its highest.
Yeah,
so.
I made a good decision to buy and sell.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, none of those are good decisions. You're really buying tickets on a Titanic at different times. Because you're buying something that at the end of the day is not a good investment because you're buying a volatile product that is not going to be worth what you're paying, period.
Right. I
do not see this book ever going back up to those numbers, and you know why?
Yeah.
Because there's 28,000 of them.
And there's 9,096. Yeah, so this next one's a really good example again. This is Berserker, #1.
Yeah, so Berserker, was on my pull list at my local comic book store because as I got back into the hobby, I thought this was a cool product.
I mean, it's sick.
It's just a very violent story. Keanu Reeves, and it absolutely looks like Keanu Reeves.
It is Keanu Reeves.
And this is a third print foil.
Foil cover.
And I didn't spend a lot on it, and I got multiple copies, and I also got a lot of other. I got first print. I spent money. I probably spent $100 on.
Yeah, because this was probably $20, and then we got it slabbed, which was like an additional $25 to $30.
Yep.
So it wasn't cheap.
And it was going for $200. It took so long to get it slabbed. By the time I got it back, it was down to in the $40 range. I didn't want to sell mine anymore, waiting for it to go back. It's been a couple years. I know that he's done John Wick since then, and he's done some other stuff. Here we go. Here's the speculation. Haven't heard any updates. Got tons of books from him. I've probably spent, I don't know, a couple $100 now with slabbing stuff and buying them. It's fine. I'm not regretting it at all. Now, if something happens with it, that's fine. There's a lot of these out there. Other people pick these up too. I don't even know if this is the one that's going to take off. Can you show how many different printings? Just scroll on the screen. There are so many different printings. Am I sure this is the one that's going to take off? I'm not. I want to go back to what I said. There are so many different versions of books coming out today. It's a crapshoot on one that's going to take off. I don't like this game. Like which variant is it? Which cover is it? Which artist is it? And it's too difficult to figure out. As I was coming back into the hobby and doing this, I'm like, wow, this is hard.
It's not easy. The new market is so different too.
Yeah. So what else you got?
Okay, so the next one is Captain America number 312 from 1985.
Yeah.
It's the first appearance of Flag Smasher. And why is this a spec book?
When Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, this book was being touted. It was a latent cover. There was 22 9/8 on the census. I dug it. I started looking, couldn't find many copies at all. When I did find one, I think it was $380. I negotiated hard. Guy would not come down. I think I got him down $20.
You paid $360 for it.
Paid $360. Highest anyone's ever paid to date. The next copy I think sold for $260. Has never done anything but go down since the day I bought it. Okay. I think it's at $120 today.
We're looking at that right now. Let's see. Sold in October for $143.
There you go.
Highest it's ever sold for is $360. I wonder who bought that.
And do you see that hump? That's me.
You're welcome.
The sole person that's ever paid that much. And I don't regret that. I love this book. It's cool. To this day, I love that cover. I find it to be very interesting that nothing ever happened to this book. There's this weird phenomena with these MCU shows now that when the show gets close to coming out, the books bomb.
Because it's over now.
People can't get rid of them fast enough. I'm cool with owning this. I'm not cool with how much I spent on it. I shouldn't have bought it. Lesson learned. And there you go. I way overspent on a book. The only person on the planet. Now, that is the only recorded sale. Someone else may have gone out and spent that much. We know that.
Yep.
On Comic Link or somewhere else. Who knows? Someone might have spent $500 in that book. Happy to have it. That's in my PC. I'm not selling that book because I think it's cool.
Yeah. Okay, this next one is Fantastic Four 272 from 1984.
Yeah.
It's the first appearance of Nathaniel Richards. This one's a 9/6. It's a John Byrne cover.
Yeah.
And why is this a spec book?
Well, because this is in the Kang storyline. This is all with Loki, and this really should be a 9/8. And I do think I have some copies that could be a 9/8. This got up to almost $800. I think that's a cracker. That's one I can crack and resubmit.
That's a cracker.
It's not actually a cracker. It's a comic book. If you look at the top of the cover, it's got some wrinkling there, and I think I could fix it.
I think when we opened this, because we opened this on a CGC unboxing, you were very disappointed that you didn't get a 9/8 in this one.
Yeah, because at one point this got up to about $700, and now it's at 9/8. I think it's about $175.
Let's see. Highest sold at 9/8 is $676, and that was in 2021.
Yeah.
And then
Loki.
It's obviously flattened out a lot per graph.
Yeah, and that book's probably worth $75 or $100. And this is really, here we go with the spec of media. And it's not just MCU, it really is pundits, people like pumping it up.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for weekly people talking about these books and putting it out there on top 10 lists, you wouldn't really know about it, you know? And
Yeah.
hey, this is being affected by that. And here you go. It's getting people fired up. People are going to want this because it's going to be in high demand. So it creates all this fervor. It peters out, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and all of a sudden it goes down because it didn't happen. I think people get exhausted too. It's like, oh, it's not going to happen for 4 years, 5 years, 6
Yeah.
years. And then it never happens. And
It never happened.
it just doesn't, you know, and it's really fascinating. Once in a blue moon, something really kind of kicks in, you know? So,
Yeah.
and all this stuff with Kang has been around for a long time and really never been a major thing. Just never been major,
Not yet.
you know? Yeah.
This is Hulk #1. Hulk #1, first appearance of Red Hulk, Iron Man, Doc Samson, She-Hulk, and Winter Guard appearance.
Yeah.
From 2008.
Tell me the most that book's ever sold.
Let's see.
So I was trying to buy this book on the dip. I didn't buy this when it came out because it obviously came out when I was taking a 20-year hiatus from collecting comic books.
The highest this book has ever sold for was $750.
Yeah.
Let's see. In 2022, we'll do 2022. The lowest it sold for was $200. You bought this book for $400 in 2022.
Yeah, so it was going from 780. I was watching the dip come down, and I caught it at 400 thinking it was going to stop, and it kept going down. It went down to 300.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's working. What's it at now?
It's right now, the fair market value is $315.
At 315 right now?
Mm-hmm.
What was the last one sold for?
$280.
Oh, it's still going down.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
33 have sold in the last 90 days, so I would say that 90-day average is pretty accurate.
Yeah, so the dip that I thought I was going to catch it in, it kept dipping.
It's still dipping. Dippity-doo.
And I bought it a year ago?
Yeah, 2021. No, yeah, 2022. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was also a year ago. I thought I'd caught that at the dip. And that's why you'll hear me say things like, don't chase. I'm only a year away from that purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine. I'll hold on to it.
Yeah.
I learned a valuable lesson on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
There's even been announcements about Thunderbolt Ross recently, and the book still goes down. There's so much spec going on now. I think people are overwhelmed by it, you know?
Like, what to do?
That's why even all of this DC stuff, I'm out. I already have about 40% of it.
Yeah, so that's why we're not super worried about getting any of them.
I'm not.
Okay, let's talk about the next one. This next one's Marvel Premiere 55. It is a Wonder Man appearance.
Yeah, I didn't chase this. I bought it for $10 raw. I think I got it before the spec was announced.
I don't know what year you bought it.
Yeah.
You probably bought it in 2021.
Yeah, I bought this before the spec was announced. This was announced for the MCU. It was kind of surprising people that this came out. I bought it on the CGC board, pressed and cleaned it, sent it in, got a 9.8. This is the first solo appearance of Wonder Man.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm happy to have it. I'll sell that. That's not a PC book. It's not something that means a lot to me. I think it's going for a couple $100 right now.
So a 9.8 sold in December of 2022 for $196. And that's the only sale that's, like, there's been 5 sales in 2022. Highest sale was $700. So that you can see that there is some sucker out there bought one for $700. And then it just literally went down immediately.
So I listed it for $550 and I got no bites.
Mm-hmm.
I just took it down. How many total copies are graded?
141 total copies, 24 9/8.
Yeah.
So that one could go up again.
I don't know.
It's hard to say. There's not that many of them.
Not a big appetite for that stuff.
I mean, and the cover's okay. There's another Wonder Man that you bought that you wanted us to show.
Yeah.
To show, because we just got this one. This is Wonder Man #1.
Yeah, I picked it up for $80.
Yeah. We have a couple of these already slabbed, so.
I actually like that cover a little bit better.
I like this one better too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's also a newsstand of that one around that, yeah.
That probably is worth a little bit more. So before we continue, I want to just quickly announce our 2,000 subscriber giveaway. So I'm just going to announce it right now. This is the person that won. And these are all the people that have won so far.
Winners.
Please like, comment, subscribe. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. Like, comment, subscribe.
Like it. Subscribe it.
So we have a few more books that we want to show you guys.
Yep.
This next one, I feel like we've talked about so much, but it's like very relevant to like what we're talking about.
I thought that I caught this on the dip, and I think I did.
I don't know. We'll have to look. But this is something killing the children #1. There's this TV show coming out. Low print run.
Well, it got optioned.
It got optioned.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
It should get a show because it'd be really cool. That would be awesome for a movie or something.
I thought that if this got to 500, I would start buying copies, and I caught this one at 600.
And there's 1,000 different variant covers of this.
That came out later.
Yeah. This is their first print.
It is.
It's had 43 sales in the last 90 days. Average is $5.60. Highest sale $2,100.
Yeah.
Lowest sale $38, which is insane.
That's not right.
$38 can't be right.
There's noise there. Yeah.
So in 2023, the highest it sold for is $630, and right now, average sales $584. So it's definitely still on the dip.
I'd call that 600.
But what you paid is close to how much it's still going for.
Yeah. So I feel okay about that.
Yeah. If it was like $200, which it would never be, I don't think it'd ever get that low. Knock on wood, I guess.
How many 9/8 are there?
287 copies. 199 of them are 9/8.
That's not bad.
That's just funny because it was probably slabbed immediately when it was printed.
199 is very good. I'd like more. I think
it would be easier to get them.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at something like this compared to something like Sandman #1, for me, it's an investable comic book.
Yeah. Okay, so this next one is Superman #4 from 1987. It's the first appearance of Bloodsport. We've actually talked about this book a few times too. Oh, and this was spec around Suicide Squad?
It was. This is a John Byrne cover.
The highest sale was $375.
In 2021, I paid $234 for this book. Happy to get it. Boy, did it crash.
It really did.
As soon as that movie came out, it just crashed. And the movie was good. I love that film.
It was good, yeah.
Love this cover like John Byrne. I saw this book getting to $100, and I decided to buy them, when I see them at $100.
Oh, yeah, because we have a second one. This is the other one that you bought. It's the same grade.
I have a third one.
Yeah, in our inventory, right?
Yeah, I might even have a fourth one I remember correctly.
I think we have some raws. We got a bunch of these.
I like this book. I'm sharing my experience with you guys to let you know that I don't really feel this is wise. That's all.
Don't do as I say.
And I'm really saying I've made some mistakes. I'm really trepidatious about buying dips. If you buy a dip, you should buy it's down 90%. And I'm not even telling you that you shouldn't buy a dip. I'm telling you I've learned a lot. I've lost some value like that. And I prefer to buy much older comic books. These newer books are really quite dangerous because losing value in a new comic book, I think of me, and I've invested in a lot of other much better books, but other people may not be able to afford that. And I sell comic books, and I'd rather sell comic books to people that can afford to buy comic books from me. It's not good to sell comic books to people and they lose money in them and now they can't afford to buy the next comic book from me. Think about it. So when you're selling something to somebody, you want to sell them things for a good value. It's just not good for business for people to lose money on what you sell them,
True.
Yeah, it's just not good to sell things without value to people,
Okay, this next one is Thor 319 from 1982.
Yeah.
We actually put this in a CGC unboxing. You pressed this, sent it to CGC. We got a 9.8 on it.
Yeah.
And the spec about this is it's Zaniac, right?
It's Loki spec. I was really happy. I bought this for $3, and
yeah.
And this,
I remember you were very excited about this one. This was the win of that box.
Because I bought it for $3.
9.8. That's what we want.
This is another one. I don't see it blowing up. I think it's worth like $175 or something.
Let's see.
And I'm not selling that for $175. I'll just hold on to it.
Yeah, the average is $150. Highest it's ever sold for is $320. It sold for $320 in 2022. So I don't see it selling for that much again anytime soon.
What I'm seeing now is like you might get one or two and then like nothing. I listed it for a little bit and nothing happened. I just pulled it on eBay. If there's not a big demand, I'm just not going to do anything. I'll hold it. Yeah. If I do get something like this, I'm not just going to sell it for $100.
No.
If that book became popular or that character became popular, I'll put it at auction.
Yeah.
And let people, I'll let the crowd decide what it's worth.
Let me see how much. And this is another reason why we shouldn't sell it for $100. There's only 17 in the census, 9/8. So it's like, that's going to be worth more money at some point because it's not very common.
Due to lack of interest.
Sure.
There's copies out there.
17 of them.
No one ever thought it was
There's
worth.
only 42 total slabbed copies.
No one ever thought it was worth slapping.
Maybe at some point you'll have to sell it for $100, but you'll still make a profit.
That's true. I hope I never have to.
I know. Well, you really like that book too, I know.
I mean, it's always nice getting a book that was in demand at one moment, you know. But it's nice. It was also nice to get a 9.8 out of a collection.
Out of a book you bought for $3. That's
Yeah.
the dream. Okay, we got 2 more of these books to talk about today. This one is Young Avengers #1. It's from 2005. First appearance of the Young Avengers and Kate Bishop. Dell cover.
I don't know what's going on here. And as we started to prep for this show, I'm like, oh.
How much money did I lose here?
So I'm not exactly up to date on what's going on with this, but this scared me a little bit because I forgot how much I spent on it, and it's been a minute.
So it's just a spec book because it's the first appearance of Young Avengers. That's why you bought it, because you're like, that's a spec book. I need that.
I was trying to buy a dip back when I wasn't as smart as I am today.
And what was your dip price?
You told me it was over $1,000.
$1,066.
I forgot.
And I wrote down, yikes. Yikers. Let's see how much it's going for now.
I think this one really could have spanked me.
Okay, so 9.8. Highest it's ever sold for is $1,500. So there's that.
So So at the time I thought, okay, it's gone down 35%.
$500. That's not a bad idea. The average price right now for it is $440. That's the 90-day average with 33 sales.
That's brutal.
That sucks.
Well, it's bad.
It hurts.
Let's look at some more information.
So let's look at the census data. So there's 2,100 universal copies, 5,238 copies in total.
I got hammered on that book.
It's bad. Almost as bad as the next book.
Oh.
Last book, Vengeance #1. It is the first appearance of the Ultimate Nullifier, Mako, Radioactive Kid, the New Black Knight, and the new Miss America, America Chavez, which I think is why you bought it, the America Chavez part.
Yeah.
And you bought it in 2022. Let's look at the GPA data before we start talking about how much you paid for it.
This is right before I incorporated the business and all that.
Yes. So when he bought this, you were still speccing a lot more than you do now. Really, is what.
I was still like paying taxes, and I had incorporated, and yeah.
Yeah, it was before the business was really established.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, the 90-day average for this book is $521. The 12-month average is $836. Highest sale recorded is $2,000 for a 9.8. Shall we reveal how much you paid for it now?
Go ahead.
$1,400.
Yeah. I didn't remember that.
Yikes. It hurts.
Yeah.
Not pleasant, but a really good example as to why you shouldn't buy what you think is the high or the lowest dip until you wait a little bit more.
So, yeah, that's percentage-wise, that might be the most I've ever lost on a book.
Yeah.
Those 2 last books, I think, are the most, yeah.
It sucks. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But
Well,
hopefully you learn a lesson from us to not do that.
It's bad.
Yeah, it sucks.
Massive loss in those last 2 books.
Definitely don't do that.
Well, I haven't lost a cent.
True. You haven't sold them.
I'm not going to.
Not unless they go up a lot.
I have backed out of a book before and lost. I that's not the most money I've ever lost. I just sold a book for thousands less than I paid. Because it just happens sometimes.
That was kind of like the end of the comic boom too. Like,
it's definitely the end for me. Look, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You know, the whole reason I put this episode together is because I'm just talking about spec can be really dangerous. And I've made a lot of good decisions and I've made some bad ones. And in those 2, trying to buy the dip, it might have looked like a good idea. I think I've spent $1,200 on that, and taxes on that book were $250.
Which is crazy. That's so much.
Now, I don't pay taxes as a comic dealer now. But boy, I wouldn't do that today.
No, so much different. Like, you bought a modern book, you bought a Harley Quinn for $50. Like, that's probably the highest you'll go for a modern book now.
No,
maybe 100.
No, I would spend money on a modern book. I don't think I would do that. Well, to your point, I haven't spent that kind of money on a modern book since.
You don't. Like, you buy your bronze and copper books, you buy your horror books, and if you buy a modern book, it's at a good deal.
I can't think of one I've spent $1,000 on since.
Me either. Because, yeah, even something as Killing the Children you got for less than $1,000, so.
Yeah. And it hasn't gone down really.
No, it's still at like pretty plateau.
Yeah. Don't do like I did. That's the whole episode.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Ended on a somber note.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't mean to be sad.
Like, comment, subscribe, you guys. We'll get to 2,000.
Thank you. Bye.
See us
now.
at Emerald City Comic Con. Bye.
Bye.